Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on opening day of the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. It is Thursday, the 6th of June, 2024. I'm going to look at all the races here on day one of the festival from Saratoga, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and also join me throughout the week for some more Belmont Stakes Festival previews from Saratoga, culminating Saturday with the big one, the Belmont Stakes locally. It's very exciting and very weird for me to think about a Saratoga, first things first, Saratoga running in June, and secondly, Belmont Stakes Saratoga, but we're going to have this now for the next 2 years, and I like it. Change of scenery from Aqueduct, which is, I'm not a big fan of these long 10-month meetings. As much as I love Aqueduct, it's good to get a change of scenery for 4 days. But we have 10 races on the program here for this opening day from Saratoga. And there might be some wet weather in the forecast, there is some wet weather in the forecast, but hopefully it could clear over. But just keep that in mind. Let's get to it now, starting off with the first of 10, the first race from Saratoga, local post time 12:50. It's a maiden claiming event going for a $47,000 purse, race for maidens 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of, field of 16 horses entered. 11 through 16 are AEs. 10 will go to the Inner Turf Course, the 1,700-meter journey, or a mile 16th on the Saratoga Inner Turf Course. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the rails are up at 18 feet on both turf courses, 18 on the inner, maybe 12 or 24 on the melon, something like that. I can't remember now. Or 18, yes, 18 on the Inner Turf Course, and 18 on the melon. But my top selection here in the opener, I'm going to go with the number 6 horse, Bookworm. I'm going to go 6'5", 210 in the superfecta. 6'5", 210 super. Top selection is 6 horse, Bookworm. This 3-year-old colt by Kitten's Joy. Christophe Clement trains this one. Joel Rosario gets on this first time starter. They must think highly of him. They must have thought highly of him early on in his career, but then he just took a little bit time to get to the racetrack. But he's a first time starter here by Kitten's Joy by Warfront Mare. Christophe Clement, first time starter 16%, and first time turf 18%. Maiden claiming he doesn't have a lot of good stats here, but this horse is training well on the Oklahoma train track. 5-furlong workout 1 minute and 4 from the gate, the 7th best workout of 11, and a 5-furlong workout 102 and 3, the best workout of 9. Has some turf works down in pace and sprinkled in. Most recent turf work 27th of April, 5 furlongs and 103 and 2 for the second, the 15th best workout of 26, and a 5-furlong and 104 flat, the 15th best out of 15. This horse is bred for turf, drawn well. Looks like he might have some speed into him. It looks like Christophe Clement might be a little loaded for this opening day card here from Saratoga, so I think this horse has a logical chance. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think the 5 horse Drunk on Sake for Mercanten, Caramanchi, and Dylan Davis. First time turf here. I think this horse could get a piece fit. Most recently at Aqueduct on the 16th of May, going 6th in main special weight on dirt. He finished 8th by 40 lengths that day, and he just, he was with him early on, but then just completely crumbled. The winner, Donegal Momentum, looks like it's going to be a decent horse, possibly on turf also, but this horse just couldn't keep up with him. I think with step down in class, routing on turf, which this horse is bred for through and through, getting blinkers on to show more speed and more into it, I think this horse could really run a good race. Came back since the last race with a good workout at Belmont on the training track, half mile 46 and 4, the best work of 132. Coming here today, I think he could get some redemption from that last run, and also I think that horse he got beat by is a decent horse. The 2 horse Mighty Glory for Flavien Prat at 8-1 and Dominic Schettino. The only turf effort was a little bit of a subpar race where this horse just had a wide trip. Came back to run a decent 4th on dirt at Aqueduct after that. I think coming back here to turf again today, it wouldn't surprise me. 8-1 will use him in the early Big 5. But to recount my selection for the opener from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 6 horse Bookworm, give kudos to the 5 horse Drunk on Sake and the 2 horse Mighty Glory, 6'5", 210 super, 6'5", 2 in the multi-race to the second race from Saratoga, the first stakes race of the week. It is the Tremont Stakes. It's going for a purse of $150,000, race for 2-year-olds here. We have a field of 8 horses going 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs on the Saratoga main track. Before I go any further, and because I just got reminded by it by looking at the Tremont, I remember last year, the first day of the Belmont Stakes Festival got canceled because of all the smog and fog we had here in New York City, because of the wildfires. I remember that Wednesday being horrible. That Thursday was, it was clearing up, but you still couldn't run here. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Tremont was carded for that Thursday, and you know, it had to be moved to Sunday, and you know, it just you know, sad events last year at Belmont for that with the fog early on in the week. But Belmont Stakes Day was beautiful. That Friday was beautiful also. But back to the Tremont, my top selection here. I'm going to go with the 5-horse, 3 Echoes. We'll go 5, 7, 8, 1 in the superfecta. 5, 7, 8, 1 super. Top selection, 5-horse, 3 Echoes. This 2-year-old colt by Echo Town. Steve Asmussen trains. Originally, we were going to have Keith Asmussen on this horse when the riders were named on Friday, but unfortunately Saturday he got injured and won't be making the trip. So we will have a rider to be announced on this horse. But this horse has started once about 2.5 weeks ago on the 24th of May at Churchill. 5 furlongs on a good main track and a main special weight for 117,000. And the horse won by 3/4 length. He didn't get the best of trips from the inside that day. He got bumped at the start. He got a bit of a trouble trip where he got shuffled out of it, but he settles well after all that you know, aggression. And he really, you know, had the good turn of foot late. He quickened up nicely on the inside, and he got the job done. A very good, strong performance. He's come back since the last race with a, you know, an okay workout, half mile, 52 and 2. The 4th best workout, 49. I think refreshing here of some decent runs, showed potential he could get out of the gate. I think he could get a good race here to win. You know, I think you're going to see a lot of pace in this one up front, and I think they could set up for this kind of horse. Let's see what he does today. Will the next start, if he wins, does he end up in the Sanford here in about 5-6 weeks' time? We'll have to wait and see. But he has a logical chance of winning. I think the first-time starter, Touchy, for Wesley Warren, Joel Rosario, has a logical chance to win also. You know, this horse has been working locally, 49 and 3 on the training track for a half mile, 24th best work out 53, and a half mile Keeneland 47 flat, the second best workout of 111. We all know Wesley Ward with his first time starters coming here today. I'll give him a shot on the ticket in the early pick 4 that begins with this race. But to recount my selection for the second from Saratoga, it is the Tremont. Gonna take this 5-horse, 3 Echoes, give kudos to 7-horse Touchy, 5, 7, 8, 1 super, 5, 7 in the multi-race. Race number 3. It's an allowance race. It's going for a purse of $90,000. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards, statebreds here. We have a field of 9 horses going the distance of ground of 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the Saratoga main track. Going to take the 3-horse Brick Ambush as a top selection. 3-7-2-5 for me in the superfecta. 3-7-2-5 super. Top selection of 3-horse Brick Ambush. This 3-year-old colt by Lowbound here. Danny Gargan trains. Junior Alvarado gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing came in Statebred optional 80 at Aqueduct, 1 mile on the 21st of April. And the horse finished 3rd by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And he just kind of stalked that day. He was a little bit wide, but he, you know, he got around the race course okay. I don't think he has to jump up quite a few Bauer points to win here today. He should get a good pace in front of him, and he should get a good stalking trip. I think he could get the job done. 2 back 10th of April, 10th of March at Aqueduct, 6.5 on the mud and optional 80. Finished 2nd by 2 lengths that day, and he stalked after not the best beginnings where he hit the gate going out of it. And it took him a few times to get into stride, but when he finally did, he stalked all the way around the race course. He had the lead. He got caught late. What can you do? It was just a horrible beginning. If he would have broke better, he probably would have won, but he ran his heart out that day. And then the 19th of January at Aqueduct, 1 mile on optional 80. He finished 2nd by 7 lengths that day. Again, didn't get out of the gate clearly, which cost him. He moved a little bit, but the winner really had to jump on this one. This is the horse to be remembered by winning or placing in the New York Stallion Series, and was disqualified for $500,000 on the line, and you know, placed 12th. You know, both those stallion races were rigged last year. Not rigged, shall I say. I don't think they were rigged, but I think they were just cursed last year. But by the way, this horse just was wide, and Junior Alvarado lost the whip at the stretch. What can you do? His maiden victory round against Statebreds at Aqueduct in November wasn't bad at all, where he won by 2 lengths, really taking home clear. Refreshing here. I think he could win. I think the 7-horse Lande Oro for Joel Rosario and Christoph Kaman can find a trip to win also. Most recently, 21st of April at Aqueducts, a mile and optional 80 for Statebreds. He finished 2nd by 2.5 lengths that day, and just kind of stalked around the race course, a little bit wide, but, you know, ran okay. Hopefully with a bit of a pace in front, the horse should do a little bit better. I thought this horse ran terrifically from the parking lot at Aqueduct, the JFK parking lot, it seems. 7 furlongs in the main special weight, drawn 14-14. He won by 3/4 length, and he didn't get over to get good position. He was wide throughout, but he got the job done. Matty Oliver, who rode this horse that day, timed the race perfectly and got the job done. Quite a few horses were next out winners out of that one, but refreshing here up north, Saratoga at 4-1. It wouldn't surprise me. I would use her on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the 3rd from Saratoga now, I'm going to take the 3-horse Brick Ambush. Give kudos to the 7-horse Lando Oro. 3-7-2-5 super, 3-7 in the multi-race to the The fourth race from the spot, it is the Jersey Girl Stakes. It's going for a purse of $150,000. Race for 3-year-old fillies here. Field of 8 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the Saratoga main track. Gonna take the 5-horse Almost Gone Rocket. Almost Gone Rocket. There we go. I'm gonna go 5-2-8-3 in the superfecta. 5-2-8-3 super. Top selection 5-horse Almost Gone Rocket. This 3-year-old filly by Into the Mischief. Brad Cox trains. Flavian Pratt gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came 3rd of May at Churchill Derby weekend. 6.5 on the slop and optional 100, and the horse won by 4.5 lengths that day, and he stalked all the way around the race course. Flavian waited to press the button. When he finally did, he took off like a rocket. He quickened up nicely. He got the job done quite easily. Refreshing here against stakes quality horses, not the world's deepest race. I think this horse could be really getting a good trip to win here today. On debut, the horse ran the 5th of April at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs in the main special weight for $115,000. Again, the horse won by nearly a dozen lengths, 11 3/4 if you want to be exact that day, but this horse broke on top. He stalked, he got the lead, and again, one in a hand. A very, very good race. Since the last run, has been training quite nicely at Churchill. Most recent workout 59.3 Saturday, 3rd best workout 28. Refreshing here. She could definitely get the job done. I could totally understand Singler in the pick 4, but I think the 2-horse Roman Grace at 5-1 could be a possible upset for Irad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher. Most recently in the allowance race at Aqueduct going 6.5 in early May, she finished 2nd by a head, and she got caught in the lane, but she showed determination that day. I think cutting back and trip should really suit this horse well. Prior to that, Keeling going 7 in the main special weight in April, the horse won by 2.5 lengths that day. It's going to be 3.5 lengths that day, and basically on the front end, he quickened up nicely. Set some good fractions and went away with it. 79 buyer off the fraction. I thought the race would have been a little bit quicker, but it was still a very good race that day. And then on debut here in New York at Aqueduct in March in the main special weight, he finished 2nd by 1/4 lengths that day, and just needs something more, but ran okay on debut. He's been training well since the last race. Refreshing here 5-1. If there's a horse that could beat Almost Gone Rocket, I think it could be her. Let's use her in the big 4s as some insurance play, but I could totally understand her singling the 5. But to recap my selection for the 4th now from Saratoga, it is the Jersey Girl. Going to take the 5-horse Almost Gone Rocket. Give kudos to the 2-horse Roman Grace. 5-2-8-3 super. 5-2 in the multi-race to the 5th race, it is a maiden special weight purse, $85,000. Race for maidens, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds, then upwards. Staybreds here. Field of 11 horses entered to go 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs in the Mellon Turf Course. Portable rails are up at 18 feet for the day's turf races on the Mellon. First Mellon race of the year. My top selection, I'm going to go with the number 6 horse here in the end. 6-9-11-1 for me in the superfecta. 6-9-11-1 super. Top selection 6 horse in the end. This 3-year-old filly by Unified here. Sweeney trains one. Kendrick Carmouche gets to mount. Kendrick's probably one of my favorite riders on the Naira circuit. He always just gets, the horses in good position. And if you ever go to Aqueduct, I'm not the only one that's probably going to say that they're his favorite rider, because at Aqueduct he has his own cheering section in the grandstand. It's quite cool. You have to see it to really experience. But this horse ran in the Jersey Shore at Monmouth most recently, 5.5 on the turf course in main special weight for $60,000, and he finished 3rd by 3/4 length that day. He probably would have broke the main that day if he didn't have to stop in the top of the lane. He stalked. He had to stop in the lane. He moved a little bit late, but he ran his heart out. I think with a strong pace in front of him, he could find a trip to win. He showed potential last time out with that race. Prior to that, the 9th of December at Gulfstream, 5 furlongs on the Tapeta and main 25 claimer. He finished 2nd by 2 3/4 lengths that day. He was a little bit wide. He never changed leads that day, and the winner was much the best that day, but he got down the race course well. And then prior to that, I made an optional 8:30 at Delaware going 5.5 on the dirt. He finished 6th by 14 3/4 lengths that day and just had nothing. Absolutely dismal performance. On debut at Pimlico, he showed some speed early on, but from wide posture, he just kind of, drifted late, and also, he just never saved ground. I think he has some speed if he wants to use it, but I think with a stronger pace in front of him, drawn well, he could find a good trip to win. At 9-2, I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think the 9 horse here, Heart of the Night for Horacio De Paz and Manny Franco, could get a trip to win. Most recently trained under the care of Michael McCarthy in Southern California and ran at Santa Anita, 6 furlongs on a lawn in the main special weight 57,000, where he finished 9th by 8 1/4 lengths that day, and he was with them early on, seeing some wicked fractions, but then he just kind of crumbled late. His last 2, they were just flying on the front end. Prior to that, the main special weight Santa Anita going 6 in March, he off the near the year refreshing, he flew on the front end and then finished 6th by 10 1/4 lengths, just not keeping up there. But his race in the March 2023, going 5.5 on the lawn at Santa Anita, wasn't bad at all. He finished second by 3/4 length. He got bumped around a few times. He had to lead. Johnny rode him to a terrific race that day, but he got caught the wire. What can you do? He just couldn't keep up that day. Refreshing here, training well at Santino on the Tapeta and locally at Belmont on the train track. He can win at 5-1. And even the 11-horse Soretta for Frankie Dettoria and Kevin Bond. The race at Aqueduct in April wasn't bad at all, where he really gained a lot of ground late after not the best beginnings. And his races, on the Naira circuit, he's a 14-time maiden, but he's always run these good races even in defeat. If he doesn't win today, definitely use him in the pick in the supers or the trifectas, because he could definitely hit there. But he looks like he's a consistent horse hitting the board. Just hasn't won yet, but he's run some good races as recently. At 6-1, I'll use him on the ticket here. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Saratoga now, going to take the number 6 horse in the end. Give kudos to the 9 horse Heart of the Night and the 11 horse Soretta. 6-9, 11-1 super, 6-9, 11 in the multi-race. To the 6th event from the 6th race from the spot. It's a maiden special weight purse, $100,000. Race for maidens, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of, let's see if my page can load, field of 9 horses going 14, field of 10 horses, including part of an entry going the distance of ground of 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track here. I'm going to take the 1A Audacious. I'm going to go 1A 495 in the superfecta, 1A 495 super. Top selection, the 1A horse Audacious, 3-year-old Philip into the mischief here. Todd Pletcher trains this one. Ira Ortiz Jr. gets them out. They bought this horse for $700,000 quite a few seasons ago, and I think this horse might be, one of those horses that Todd Pletcher took a little bit of time to get her going, but I think she might be a really good one. First time starters, of course, Todd Pletcher is at 18% and sprinting him 20%. But this horse, training well here locally, 5 furlong workout and 1 minute of 3/5 of a second, the best workout of 11.5 mile from the gate, quite fast, 47-2, the best workout of 8, and a 5 furlong workout in 59-4. I think this horse, should definitely get the trip, drawn well, have some speed if she looks like it from the gate. I think this horse can get the job done. I think this 4-horse Refused to Lose for Horacio de Paz and Isaac Castillo could find a trip to win also. Most recently, mid-May at Aqueduct, going 6th in the main special weight. The horse finished 3rd by 6 1/4 lengths that day and didn't have the best beginnings that day. Was, just couldn't keep up, in the early stages of the race, but really settled well late. He was gaining that day. Definitely wasn't going to win in the later stages, but he got down the race course well. I think with a little bit longer trip, training well since the last race, it wouldn't surprise me if he finds the trip to win. And even the 9-horse Neat Trick for Danny Gargan and Dylan Davis ran horribly in April. Keelan going 7 furlongs against Roman Grace, where this horse just completely hit the wall. But prior to that, we had a very nice place against the Donos, a decent horse at Gulfstream in the main special weight. And then on debut, just couldn't change leads on debut at Gulfstream, but, got down the race course well. I think what's coming here today with slight class relief from the last few, I think this horse could find a trip to win at 5-1. I'll use her here on the ticket. But to recount my selection now for the 6th from Saratoga, going to take the 1A horse Audacious. Give kudos to the 4-horse Refused to Lose and the 9-horse Neat Trick. 1A 495 super, 1A 49 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 7th now, the beginning of the late pick. The beginning of the late pick 4, the 7th race from Saratoga. It's an allowance race purse, $110,000. Races for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, which have never won $18,000 twice in the name claiming starter estate, but allowance race, blah, 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 blah. We have a field of 10 horses going the 1,600-meter journey, or the Wilson Mile, over the mile track here at Saratoga. The Wilson Mile, you either like it or hate it. I started liking them at the end of the season last year. They're fun races to watch and handicap at times. With that being said, I did notice at the end of the season last year, it seemed like there were slightly lesser mile and the 8th races and more mile races. I want to see the ratio, just more longer races than these mile races. With that being said, I think the 7-horse Ways and Means might be one of your likeliest winners on the program. I'm going to go 7-1-6-5 in the superfecta, 7-1-6-5 super. Top selection 7-horse Ways and Means is 3-year-old filly by Practical Joke. Chad Brown trains. Flavian Pratt gets them out. First time Lasix with this horse. I've been running against stakes quality horses the last few races, so it's getting serious class relief, and also with the stakes races and running as a 2-year-old, no Lasix, so it's the first time she could get them. Most recently ran the Kentucky Oaks at Churchill about a month ago, mile and 8th on the 3rd of May, and the horse finished 4th by 10 1/4 lengths that day. From wide trip, she just kind of stalked that day, but just couldn't keep up late. I do think a 1-turn mile, nearly 1 turn and a half turn here today is is what this horse wants to do, and I think she could definitely find the trip to win. She ran okay in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, going a mile 16th on the 30th of March. She placed that day behind Power Squeeze that day. She stalked, she got the lead, and then she drifted that day. She had a bit of a trouble trip. Maybe she wasn't 100% crank that day. I just think cutting back was really suit her that day. And then and then first time stakes quality and winners in the Spinaway locally, 7 furlongs 3rd of September. She finished second by half a length that day, and she didn't have the best beginnings that day. She had the clip heels going down the backstretch, but she settled well after that. She really closed up well late behind Brightwork. She probably ran the best race for her life in defeat that day. Not a bad run after all said and done. And then on debut at in a main special weight here last summer, she was probably one of the most impressive debuters, winning by just over a dozen lengths that day. She didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but she sat back early. She slowly moved her way into it, and she got the job going away. A very good race, training well locally. Coming here with Flavian back up, who's ridden this horse to 2 very terrific races, her best 3 races, I think, lifetime. I think this horse has a logical chance of winning. I'm going to use her. But we are at the graveyard of favorites, so if there could be an upsetter, the one horse Do Goder for Jenna Antonucci and Javier Castellano wouldn't surprise me if this horse finds a piece of it. Most recently in the 8 Bell, she just was very rambunctious and didn't break so well at Churchill on the slop going 7. Again, in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, she just had a very troubled trip that day from the inside, but broke the main at Gulfstream on the slop quite nicely going the mile trip, and had a decent place on at Gulfstream on Pegasus weekend last year, or earlier this year. Seems like last year now, but she's training well at Gulfstream and here at Saratoga quite nicely. Gonna have to overcome a little bit of a weird poster on the inside. I would like to see this horse just a little bit towards the middle of the pack, but if she's run these good races, it wouldn't surprise me if she could steal it here. I would use her at 10-1 as a slight upsetter, but I do think Ways and Means is a very likely winner, and it wouldn't surprise and it wouldn't shock me if you would single her in the pick 4. But to recount my selection now for the 7 from Saratoga, gonna take the 7 horse Ways and Mean, give kudos to the 1 horse Do Goder, 7-1-6-5 Super. Or excuse me, Do Gooder, 7-1-6-5 Super, 7-1 in the multi-race. The 8th event from Saratoga, it's main special weight purse $85,000, race from Maine's 3-year-olds and upwards, state-breds here. We have a field of 16 horses entered. 13 is AE, 14, 15, 16 are MTOs. So we have a field of 12 horses going the 1700 meter journey, or mile 16th on the Millen Turf Course. Gonna take the 9 horse here, Mission Hill, 9678 for me in the superfecta. 9678 super, top selection 9 horse Mission Hill. This 4-year-old gelding by Street Boss here, Belmont trains. Junior Alvarado picks up the mount. First time gelding here, most recently ran the horse on the 23rd of August locally, Saratoga, mile 16th on the inner turf course, and main special weight 88,000, and he finished 4th by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He was very wide that day, and he just couldn't keep up that day. It just wasn't his day to win, but he showed potential that day. He definitely improved off the previous races. Previous race was on dirt, which is, he has some dirt pedigree, but I think he wants to run on the green stuff. But prior to that, 21st July, Saratoga, a mile off the turf on the Wilson Mile on the main special for 88,000. Finished second by 2 3/4 lengths that day. He didn't get out of the gate so clearly that day, and he just kind of stalked, and he just couldn't, keep up late, and he had to steady a few times, which cost him. It just wasn't his day to win. And then on debut last June at Belmont, 6 furlongs in the inner and the main special weight, finishing 6 by 4 1/4 lengths. He was a little bit wide, and again, just not really keeping up. But he definitely, since that main race, he's definitely improved quite a bit since then. I think drawn well, first time gelding, off the long for freshman. Belmont does have decent numbers with these kind of horses. I think this horse could get the job done. I'll use him at 4-1 on the ticket. I think the 6 horse here, who is Film Academy for Ira Ortiz Jr. and Mark Cassie, wouldn't surprise me if this horse gets the job done. Coming off a long break here, most recently at the end of January at Gulfstream, going 7.5 in the main special weight. She finished 8th by 7 1/4 lengths that day, and just didn't get out of the gate so clearly, and was stupid wide, which cost him. You need to be more forwardly paced at Gulfstream, especially with those 7.5 furlong races. This horse just wasn't any bit of forwardly paced that day. Ran okay going 5 on the Tapete on Christmas Eve at Gulfstream in a main special way, where he finished second by 3/4 by 3 lengths behind Macville that day. Didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but was really gaining late. If the horse would have broke better, probably would have won, but I thought it was a decent effort. And then on debut locally last summer in a main special weight for 88,000, the horse finished 3rd by 4 1/4 lengths, was drawn run very wide, but was gaining that day. Coming here today, it wouldn't surprise me. I'll use him on the ticket. Even the 7-horse All Good here for Christoph and Joel Rosario got rained off the turf over the Wilson Mile locally last summer, where the horse finished 7 by 10 1/4 lengths behind the race. Mission Hill came out of this horse, another first-time gelding here. This horse back to turf. The turf numbers at last winter weren't bad at all, and in spring at a very nice place behind Bora Dancer at Belmont in the state bred main special weight at Belmont last June. If she could run that race here today, she could win at 3-1. Let's use her in late pick 4. But to recount my selection for the 8th from Saratoga, gonna take the 9-horse Mission Hill. Give kudos to the 6-horse Film Academy and the 7-horse All Good here. 9, 6, 7, 8 Super, 9, 6, 7 in the multi-race. Let's get to the featured or co-featured 9th race from the spot. The 9th race from Saratoga, it is the Astoria Stakes. It's going for a purse of $150,000. Race for 2-year-old fillies here. We have a field of 9 horses going 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs here in the Astoria. Now, a lot of these races are named for New York City, places. Astoria, Queens, great place. Great nightlife there. Great food, by the way, if you're in the area. But the problem is, Astoria from Belmont is about, let's see, 10 miles, maybe, something like that. In New York City traffic, about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, half hour. But New York's Astoria to Saratoga is about 3 hours or so. So it's kind of weird. It would be kind of like running next to some of the Skylaville at Aqueduct or something like that, because it's just completely opposite sides of the spectrum. But one thing I did notice, they're running the Brooklyn down at Aqueduct this year, which is only like 2 miles from Brooklyn, or not even, and they're running the Suburban up at Saratoga. That I like, but they should have ran the Astoria down in New York City. But that's my rant of the day. But with that being said, my top selection here, I'm going to take the 3-horse French Horn. I'm going to go 3-2-9-4 in the superfecta. 3-2-9-4 Super. Top selection 3-horse French Horn. This 2-year-old filly by Complexity. Mark Hasse trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 12th of May at Woodbine. 4.5 on the Tapeta in main special weight. And the horse won by 1 3/4 lengths that day. Only had 3 other rivals, but he broke very sharp that day. But he kept going out of the gate and he kept winning. He got the job done. 69 bar. Not the fastest I've ever seen on debut, but it was still a very good run. Had the 5-pound apprentice bug on that day, is getting 12 more pounds from that previous race. Carrying 110 last time out, is now going to carry 122 pounds. So that's going to be a significant weight. But this horse is training well, and Mark Hasse has decent numbers with 2-year-olds and last time winners. Most recent workout on the trained dirt track of Woodbine, 5/8 mile drill in 58-2, the best workout for, and a half-mile drill prior to that, 47-3. I think this horse has some real speed here, drawn very well. It wouldn't surprise me if she gets the job done. I'll use her on the ticket. I think the 2-horse Iraqi for Steve Asmussen and originally Keith Asmussen, but we'll have a rider change here. I think this horse get a piece of it also. On debut, had a very wide trip in the main special weight, Churchill going 5/8, but overcame that to win by 3/4 length. She was a little bit wide that day, and she didn't change leads that day, but she got the job done. Training quite nicely at Turfway. I couldn't believe that Steve Asmussen had Turfway based horses, but had a 5/8 mile drill on the Tapeta and 1 minute and 2/5 of a second, and a half mile 51-3. Not the fastest time, but good times after a strong race. Coming here today, this horse could win. Even the 9-horse Long Neck Paula for Wesley Ward and John Velasquez won on debut at Churchill, going 4.5 Derby week quite nicely. Since the last race, been training quite nicely at Saratoga. At 2-1, she could win also. But something I've noticed in these stakes races for like the Kentucky Jockey Club or the Kentucky Juvenile, the Bashford Manor, the Astoria, the early season 2-year-old races, stakes races, Wesley Ward doesn't have the greatest numbers in them. He has great numbers with the in those main special weights, but in the when we get to those stakes races, like I said, the Kentucky Juvenile, the Astoria, the other one, not as strong. So just keep that in mind. But to recap my selection now for the Astoria, I'm gonna take the 3-horse French Horn. Give kudos to the 2-horse Rocky and the 9-horse Long Neck Paula. 3-2-9-4 Super, 3-2-9 in the multi race. Let's get to the nightcap here on this Thursday program, the 10th race. The nightcap here on the Thursday program from the spot, it is the Belmont Gold Cup. It's a Grade 2 event going for a purse of $250,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of 14 horses entered, 13 and 14 are MTO, so 12 will head to the inner turf course, the distance of ground of 3,200 meters, or staying the trip of ground of 2 miles on the Saratoga inner turf course. I believe this will be the first, according to track records, I couldn't find any, and I couldn't find any history of this, the first 2-mile race on the inner turf course at Saratoga. They ran 2 miles and a 16th on the Mellon, but just not 2 miles on the inner. And they've run 2-mile races on the 2 miles and 16th on the over the jumps on the inner, but just not like I said, this trip. I've been talking too long, so let me just get to my selections here. I'm getting tired. It's been a long day. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning, can't you tell? But the top selection, I'm going to go with the 6-horse Champagne Juan. I'm going to go 6-12, 9-11, and superfecta. 6-12, 9-11 super. Top selection, 6-horse Champagne Juan. This 4-year-old colt by Justify. Christophe Clement trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent appearance came on the 25th of April, Keelan, a mile and a half in allowance race for 110,000, and the horse went by a half a length that day. Had a bit of a wide trip, but he really settled well on the front end, on the from a tracking trip. When Jose said go with him, Jose Ortiz, he got the job done, quickening up nicely. I thought that was a very good, strong run, and looked like he had a lot left in the tank. Staying the longer trip shouldn't be a problem. I think he could find a trip to win here today. 2 back, he ran 20th of February at Goldstream, mile and a half in optional 35, and he finished third by a half a length that day. He sat back early. He swung out wide late, but he was really gaining that day. If the race was just a little bit longer, he probably would have won, but not a bad race and defeat there. And then he ran in main special at Goldstream, mile 3/16th on Torpedo in the new year. He won by a half a length that day. He stalked, he got the lead. He was much the best that day. Even on the his turf debut going on the 16th of November at Aqueduct, he going a mile and 8th. He finished second by a half a length. He had a wide trip, but again, he really closed up well. Since coming to the green stuff, he's become a better horse. First time stakes quality horses here today. He could definitely win. I think the 12 horse is scanny for William Buick and Charlie Appy, who's having quite a good season here stateside, and has quite a few horses entered for the week. I think this horse could get a good trip to win. He ran not so well in the Dubai Gold Cup at Maidan over the 2. He finished 4th by 3.5 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked and just couldn't catch Tower of London, who really was staying well that day. This horse ran terrifically though in the Natal Stuba Trophy over the mile 3/4, winning by a length that day. From a tracking trip, he won quite easily, and then in the Al Kahale Trophy, a conditions race at Maidan in January, winning by a nose. He had to be quite a bit that day, but he still got the good race that day. He didn't handle the dirt at Santia in the Thoroughbred Aftercare Marathon over the mile 5 furlongs. Finished 5th by 57 lengths, just never keeping up that day. And then the Prix van Europa, he finished 3rd by 1/2 lengths again. He just couldn't stay that day, but he won this race at Belmont quite nicely by 2 lengths. He had a very good post draw. He swung out a little bit wide late, but he definitely stayed the trip quite nicely, being home the Grey Wizard, who's running back this one today. He's serious there, coming in from the UK, can handle some soft ground. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. And I also think the 9 horse here, 6- for Irad and Tom Pletcher. Most recently, Keelan going a mile and a half in a lounge race. He finished second by 2.25 lengths that day, where he just couldn't catch the winner, Utah Beach. But he got around the race course decently. Prior to that, in the McDermott, he just had a very wide poster, which couldn't keep up with, and then he ran a decent third place finish in the Alan Jerkins at Goldstream over the winter. I think he wants to stay here today. Gets a longer trip. He's training well. Watch out for him. Even the 11 horse, the Grey Wizard for Graham Ocean and John Velazquez, had a decent place in this race last year. Came back to run a disappointing race locally on this turf, of course, in the Bowling Green, and then came back to run in the Elkhorn, where he just never really was into it, but showed some potential last time out in Louisville. Back to a longer trip here today. It wouldn't surprise me. Let's use him in the pick 4 to end it off. This is a very wide open nightcap, and whoever wins today gets that automatic berth into the Melbourne Cup. So we'll have to see who's going to Melbourne. Other than Saskatty, I can't see any of the American horses going, and I couldn't tell you the last time an American horse actually ran in Australia. But to recap my selection now for the 10th from Saratoga, it is the Belmont Gold Cup. We're going to take as a top selection the 6-horse Champagne Juan, 6-12, 9-11 Super. We'll go 6-12, 9-11 to end off the pick 4 here, or like they would say in Australia, the quaddie. So with that being said, good luck to all. Please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me tomorrow for some more Saratoga Belmont Stakes Festival previews. Good luck, everybody.